Hey, it's Sarah from Sarah Yoga here. Today's sequence is to accompany a blog I've written all about my top 10 favourite poses to do after a run. So this is going to be kind of like a yoga class, but I'm kind of going to pick it apart, slow it down, and show variations for these poses as well. So it might not feel as smooth as a normal yoga class because it's more of a kind of tutorial breakdown, show you how to do it to get the most out of it kind of video. So because of that, you are going to need a few bits and pieces. So a strap is going to be very, very useful, and if you can, make a little loop that's big enough to put your foot in. On top of that, I'm going to be using a yoga block and a blanket and another rolled up mat if you have one. So don't worry if you haven't got those to hand. You can see what I do with them, and then you can decide whether or not they are going to be useful to you and your practice. So without further ado, let's roll out the mat and I'll take you through my top 10. Okay guys, let's get going. So the first of my favourite poses, which is probably my ultimate favourite pose, is Ardha Svanasana, downward facing dog. And I must admit, this is the pose I usually go to straight from my run, because not only does it start to cool me down, it just helps to stretch everything out. So it's a really good one for the whole body. So for this one, you can come into it from all fours or standing. Just curl the toes under and press the hips back. And then once you're here, take a moment just to claw the mat a few times. Just wake up your fingers and then keep that clawy connection to the floor. Wrap the backs of the arms, upper arms under, and bend the knees a little and push the hips up and back. Connect a little to your glutes. Pull your feet apart. Press the tops of your thighs up and back. And use that to lengthen the size of your waist. And then from here, it's just pedaling out. Just pedal one side and then the other, and you'll notice that you'll start to get a stretch through the hamstrings and the calves. Try and keep a good connection to your core by gently drawing the pubic bone towards the front ribs. So you're really like softening the front ribs in and up. Relax the neck, relax the head, find your breath. And I like to stay here for about 5 or 10 breaths, so about halfway there. Okay, and then once you've had enough of pedaling, you can find some stillness. So you're driving the inner and outer ankle down towards the floor, so your heels are softening down. Don't worry if they come to the floor, it really doesn't matter. What does matter is that you keep the spine in neutral and you've got good connection with your core. All right, and then come down and release. I'm going to show you a little variation with a rolled up mat, which can help increase the stretch for your calves and your Achilles. So you're going to come into your downward facing dog, and you're going to place your feet on the mat. But make sure that the balls of the feet are on the mat and your heels are hanging off. So this is for those of you who are not getting enough of a stretch with your, just in a normal downward facing dog. This is just going to give you an extra bit of oomph. So again, you're driving the heels down. Just make sure that your inner and outer ankles stay level, so you're not sickling the foot in or out. And you can help with that by drawing the inner legs up and back and pressing the feet apart. That will help just keep the ankles aligned, your knees aligned and happy. And then you can breathe here for about 5 to 10 breaths. So I'm going to come down, but that's an option if you want a little bit more. All right, so with our next pose, we're going to come into a little flow. So Anjaneyasana, low lunge, to Ardha Hanumanasana. So you can come in from your downward facing dog, or you can simply step forward from an all fours position. So we're going to step the right leg forward and bring the left knee back a little bit, okay? So this is your low lunge. The hands are going to remain on the floor. I'm going to stay here for an inhale, and then as you exhale, you're going to pull the hips back and straighten the front leg, flexing the front foot, coming into a hamstring stretch. So inhale, lengthen forward, reaching that chest forward, and then exhale, straightening the front leg, pulling the hip creases back. Inhale, come forward. Exhale, come back. And again, just like your walking dog, I love this because you're moving and stretching at the same time. So not only, are you starting to cool down your body, but you're doing it in a very soft, gradual way. So your heart rate can come down. All right, so I'm going to show you some different ways you can do this now. So while we're holding the lunge. So we're going to come up into that low lunge position now. All right. And from here, it's very, very tempting just to keep the hips dipped down. But I find for a better stretch, especially in terms of running, it's better to come up a little, switch the glutes on. So curl the glutes, the butt cheeks under, lengthen the tailbone down. And then lift the lower belly off the front thighs, soften the front ribs in, and then press the hips forward. You can bring the arms out and up, and then you're going to feel a much better stretch in the front of your back thigh and the front hip. So this is where our first static stretch comes in, and you can hold this for 5 to 10 breaths. We're going up to 5. And then you can play here by adding some side stretches. So we're going to stretch to the bent knee side. So grab onto the left wrist with your right hand. Take an inhale, reach out without shifting the hips, because you might find that your right hip wants to come with you. So scissor the inner thighs in. Hug the outer hips in to keep the hips level, and then reach up and over. Then you're going to start to stretch the whole of that side body, which will feel really, really good, because running, walking can cause a lot of tightness around this area of the body. And then while you're here, just turn your heart up a little bit to the opposite corner of the ceiling, and breathe. Take an inhale, come up to center, and then exhale. So you can take a side stretch the other way. So we're still holding the hip flexor stretch of the back leg. We're just opening up through the upper body as well. 2 more breaths. Take an inhale, find center, and then exhale, hands together, and then use your breath to turn the rib cage, the upper back around for a twist. And this is great, not only for cool down, but for a warm up, because it helps to bring some mobility into the thoracic spine, which will help you run, which help you, help with your technique, improve your technique. Because you need to turn your upper body whilst you are walking and running. Okay, so let's release, hands on the floor, and then we're going to come to holding Ardha Hanumanasana now. So you're going to pull the front leg straight again, pull the hips back. And for this one, what I find nice is to inhale, find some lengthening in the chest, and then exhale. Take a forward fold. Inhale, lengthen. Exhale, forward fold over that leg. One more time, inhale, lengthen. Exhale, unfold. We're going to hold this one for 5 breaths. Okay, so to come out, come forward back into a low lunge. You can step back into all fours or downward facing dog, and then we're in a good position to do the other side. So step the left leg forward, drop the back knee. Same thing. So we're going to inhale as we come into the low lunge, and then exhale as we come into Ardha Hanumanasana, half splits. Inhale forward, exhale back. One last time, inhale forward, exhale back. Inhale, curl the butt cheeks under, scissor the inner thighs in, come up into your low lunge, draw the front ribs in, sweep the arms out and up, and then push the hips forward. Breathe into that stretch in the front of your back thigh and your back hip. And keep gently hugging the hips and scissoring the inner thighs in. That'll give you the stability to come forward and get a stretch in those hip flexors. All right, let's try the side stretch on this side. So grab the right wrist with your left hand, take an inhale, and then I'm going to stretch up and over to the left. Okay, inhale to center, and then exhale, other side. Trying to make sure your hips are level. Easier said than done. But do your best. Take an inhale here. Exhale, hands to prayer, and then rotate the spine. Take a little twist. Okay, hands to the floor. Okay, from here I'm going to go straight on to pose number 3, which is Skandasana, also called a ninja lunge. I suppose, once you see it and play around with it, you'll understand why. So this one, you just pick up the back knee, come into a runner's lunge, and then you're going to turn to the long edge of your mat. Keep the front knee bent, straighten the front leg, flex the foot and reach your toes to the sky. And then we'll flow this one to begin with. I love to flow, especially when I'm starting it. It's quite intense. So you can exhale to each side, and then inhale center, and then exhale, sink it down. Now this one is great for your inner legs, as you'll see when you do it. And also your hips. You're going to start to really feel a nice Oh, deep opening in the front of your hips, which just feels really good. Deep stretch in those inner thighs. And to vary it, you can, play around with it. So one way is obviously flow from one side to the other. You can also try lifting the heel of the bent knee. So you come up onto your toes instead of keeping the heel down. And that will just get the stretch a little bit deeper into the groin. You're going to feel it in a different area of your hip. So just play around with those two variations. And then finally, hang out. And then when you're on a particular side, just play around, see if you can move forwards and back, maybe in little circles. See, get to the uncomfortable areas, the areas where you feel like there's less mobility, there's a little bit of stickiness. Just see if you can take a couple of breaths there. And then swap sides and try it on the other side. And you may notice a massive difference between the sides, which is fine. It's normal. It's okay. We've all been there. All right, well done. And then when you're done, to come out, just simply Scooby-Doo back to the front of the mat. Step back into down dog or all fours. Okay, pose number 4. So this is where you may need a strap or a block. I'll show you how to get into it without either, and then you can decide if you need a little bit more support today. Now, I have a love-hate relationship with this one. You may see why, unless you've got very, very flexible feet, and I haven't. So you're going to come into a kneeling position, curl the toes under, and then just take a moment to sit back and get the little pinky under. Already I can feel it. Squeeze the inner ankles together, sit back, and try and get onto the toe mounds of your feet to get a nice stretch in the plantar fascia of your feet. All right, and they can get very tight, not necessarily through running. We wear shoes all day. If you're a walker, basically modern day living gives us tight feet. So, this pose is not only helpful for runners, it's helpful for absolutely every human being on the universe. All right, so variations. If you're struggling to get anywhere near this position, this is where a block is amazing. You can stick it between the inner ankles, press the inner ankles into the block and sit on the block and stretch the feet that way. And I do like this because it takes the pressure off, and you can really then curl those toes under so that you feel the stretch where you're meant to feel the stretch. Okay, all right, that's a version. You can play around with the block height. You can go highest or you can try medium. Another thing which is quite helpful to do is to bind your ankles together. I know it sounds horrific, doesn't it? But if, like me, your inner ankles don't like coming together, and if you place a strap around them, you don't have to worry about it because the strap will hold the inner ankles in place. Just one less thing to worry about. And you want to hold this pose for at least 10 breaths. We'll hold it for another 5. Otherwise this video might go on for a bit, and I really want to get you through all 10 of these poses. Come on out. And to release, you just uncurl your toes and just give them a little tap on the floor. Super well done. All right, okay, so we're coming up to number 5. Just get myself out of the strap, which is Rag Doll. All right, so I'm going to come up to standing, feet are hip width apart. Let's take a moment to spread the toes. Hopefully that'll feel quite juicy after the little Thai goddess stretch that we've done. Draw up through the inner legs and just slightly externally rotate your thigh bones out, okay? And that will help align your knees up. And then we're going to hinge from the hips, bend the knees, hinge from the hips, lift up through the lower belly and just caress your spine down towards the floor. All right. So this is a beautiful stretch for the entire back line of your body. Of course, it's going to get the hamstrings. And it's going to help relax the spine as well and get some length back in the spine. So again, you can stay here and just sway from side to side, just enjoying this pose. You can also use it as a little bit of a chest opener, so you can interlace the hands behind the back, draw the inner shoulder blades together and just reach those knuckles up and back. It's a really nice way of opening out the chest, because you know, despite our best efforts, you know, posture can go when we're running and we end up hunching our shoulders and getting a little bit tension up in the upper body. That's a really good way of sorting that out. Another variation while we're here is that you can cross one leg behind the other and then drape into your forward fold, and the leg that's behind, you're going to get a nice stretch in the IT band. And if you want to, you can either add a little twist here as well, if that feels good. So it is worthwhile playing around whilst you're here. So I'm going to do both sides just to show you. I do like that variation because you get a nice gentle stretch through the outer hips. So I'm going to come back to the center. Another thing you can do apart from draping the fingers down is to hold opposite elbows. And if you want to get a little bit more of a spine stretch, you can use the hands and the weight of the elbows on the back of the head to get the little lengthening action in your spine. If you are going to do this, make sure you pull the hip points in and up, drive the tailbone back a little bit so you're not collapsing through the pelvis. And then we're going to release, we're going to roll up. So the curl up's the second bit, and that's just going to help you reconnect with your glutes and your core, which can be very helpful after a run because sometimes we lose them a bit when we get tired. All right, so from here, take an inhale. As you exhale, drop the tailbone, pull the hips up, scoot the lower belly in, draw the front ribs in, keep the head heavy, keep looping the glutes under, keep drawing in and up, keep drawing in and up, keep drawing in and up, keep drawing in and up. Ooh, keep those glutes switched on. And then come to a standing position. And you should find that your glutes are still on, got good connection with your front body, your ribs are down. And you should feel nice and strong and steady in your mountain pose. Okay, so moving on, we're coming back down to the floor. So we're going to do frog pose. Frog pose is great, and for this one, you know, you might need your rolled up mat or a block or something for your forearms, but I'll help you get into it first, and then you can have a play. So for this one, you simply come from all fours and you widen your knees as far as they will go. And then take a look back and then bring your ankle in alignment with your knee and flex your foot so the big toe side is on the floor. Do the same to the other side. Curl the tailbone down, lift the hip points up, and then press back, coming onto the forearms. Press the forearms down, press the finger pads down, and pull back a little bit just to keep your shoulders nice and stable on the back. And then once you're here, it's just a question of playing. So, you know, the block can lift you up a bit, okay, just give you a little bit of height, which can be quite nice, especially if your hips are quite tight. It can help you keep that pelvis nice and level so that you've got a good connection with your tailbone, feeling like it's rolling down towards the floor. And you know, if the block isn't comfortable, you can use a rolled up mat. And then try circles. Try doing little circles in one direction and then swap it to the other direction. And then you can shift forward and back. Oh, it's so good. Just remember to breathe. This is quite an intense stretch for the hips. So you need to breathe. Don't stay here and hold your breath because it just won't feel nice and you actually won't get a lot of benefit from it because it's your exhale that's going to help release your hips. So you want a nice exhale. So if you need to exhale through your mouth to get that, you go ahead and do it. So we're going to take another 5 breaths here. And then to come out, just ease yourself forward, push yourself up onto your hands, and then walk yourself back in. Maybe give your inner thighs a little squeeze just to counterbalance that, what we've just done. You can sway from side to side. Okay, for our next pose, we're going to do Gomukhasana, or head of a cow pose, which is a great outer hip stretch and also another good stretch for opening up through the chest and the upper back. So for this one, just come into a cross-legged position to start with. I've got my right shin in front of my left, and then all we're going to do is we're going to snuggle the knees in so they're stacked one on top of the other. Try and get your feet parallel to each other, but you know, just do the best you can. The most important thing is that your sit bones are snug on the floor. All right, if they're not, please sit on the blanket, you know, raise your sit bones a little bit higher, and that will help you get that alignment in your pelvis. And then from here, take your strap, and again, you might find you don't need it, which is fine. You're going to bring it in your left arm, and you're just going to come into a little tricep stretch first of all. So you can use your right hand to help you. Point the elbow up towards the ceiling, and you're going to get that lovely stretch happening on that left side. Draw the front ribs down so you're not sticking out your chest. That's really important. Switch on your core. And then when you're ready, release your left elbow, take your right arm to the side, thumb down, take it behind your back, and then see if you can interlace the fingers. If you can't, then use the strap as an extended limb. You want to be at a point where you can draw the chin backwards in space, maybe pressing the back of your arm. You also want to be able to press the elbows back so that you feel expansion across your chest and engagement with your shoulders. What you don't want to be doing is in a scrunch position where it feels just really uncomfortable, you know, then back off, use the strap, okay? Let your ego go for this one, and then you'll get the benefits. You'll get the benefits. I'm going to take another couple of breaths here. And then just before we come out, I want to show you a little variation. If you want to, you can just bring yourself into a little forward fold. That's just going to intensify the stretch. And is there if you want it. All right, and then gently release. And then we're just going to swap, so you can stretch the legs out, cross them again, left shin in front of right, take a little knee walk, take a moment to really tune in, see if there's a difference. I am certainly different on this side. This is my tighter side. So I'm just going to take a moment to try and get my sit bones to cooperate. Find my breath, get the ribs in. And then we're going to bring the left arm up, the right arm up, sorry, with the strap if you're using it. Again, I'll demonstrate the strap just so you can see. Find that tricep stretch, watch the rib cage, watch what your head is doing as well. Keep drawing the back of the neck, back of the throat to the back of the neck, so you're not in a forward head position. And then the left arm goes out, thumb down, and then walk it up. You're trying to squeeze the inner shoulder blades together, pull the arm bones back in space. Feeling that wonderful stretch in both the outer hips and also your upper body. And if you want more, then you've got that variation where you can hinge forwards. But notice if you start to cheat anywhere, okay, if you compensate because you're desperate to go forward, you're starting to scrunch and close your chest area, getting aches or signals from your neck, you know, that is a sign that you need to back off a little bit. All right, come on out, release. Ooh, that feels good. All right, so from here we've got 3 more to do. Yeah, so the next one I'm going to show you is Supta Padagusthasana. And out of all of these, this is the one I would go to if I didn't have time for anything else, because it gets the job done. Does what it says on the tin. It's going to stretch and realign all of your legs and rebalance all the muscles around your pelvis as well. So, you know, what more could you ask for? And lying down also helps to bring your spine back into a more neutral position. So everything is ticked on this one. So you can actually do it just lying on your mat, but I'm going to show you a version using the wall, which I talk about in the blog post I've written to accompany this video. So come down onto the floor so your feet are pressing against the wall. And what this does, it just helps keep your pelvis level, all right, which I find really difficult to do. So the wall's kind of my best buddy in a lot of my yoga, to be honest, because it just helps me stop cheating. So from here we're going to start with the right, and we're keeping the loop on the belt, and we're going to place the belt around the toe mounds of your right leg. Okay, relax the shoulders. Use your right hand just to make sure that the right waist is as long as the left. Okay, so just use the hand to push your hip down towards the front of your mat. Press the wall with your left foot to activate through the left leg, and then you can start to draw the foot towards your head. Now, obviously my leg is pretty straight here, but if you've got tight hamstrings, you can keep a bend there, and you can also play around with bending and straightening the leg, okay, which actually I think helps to release the hamstring really, really well, especially if you've got tight ones. So we're going to stay here for a couple more breaths. Staying here for a good 10 breaths is, a good idea. Oh, it feels so good. All right, and then I'm going to show you a little cool thing with the strap that helps me. We're going to take the strap in the right hand and then place it behind our head and hold it with the left quite firmly, as though you're going to pull it towards your left. Externally rotate the leg from the hip socket and then drop it directly over to the right. Keep pressing the wall with your left foot to avoid or help stop letting that left hip come off the floor. And then in this one we're stretching the inner thighs, the groin. Keep actively pulling the belt with your left hand. That's also going to help keep the left hip on the floor. You don't want this coming off the floor at all, otherwise you're going to completely lose the stretch and it's just a waste of time. All right, draw the heel up towards the ceiling a little, and you're trying to pull the leg up towards the back of you. Okay, so again, you want to be here for at least 10 breaths if you can, but for this video, sticking to 5 so it doesn't get too long. I'm going to bring the leg up, and then we're going to shuffle the hips slightly to the right, roll the little pinky side of the left foot onto the floor, but you're still pressing the foot against the wall, and then you can take the belt into your left hand and take the leg over to the left, drawing it up towards your left shoulder. Your right arm comes out to the right, it's the counterbalance, and then you're in a beautiful twist and an amazing stretch for your outer thigh and that IT band, which leads into a little muscle called the TFL, which little but mighty muscle, which really helps us with walking and running. Can get very tight and grumpy, so this is a perfect way of helping that to release. Okay, and then to come out, you're just going to bring yourself back to center, remove the strap, and then stretch the legs straight and just notice if there's any difference. You might find that one leg feels a little bit longer, and I hope it's your right. So we're gonna sort that out now by doing the other side. So press the right foot into the wall, take the strap around your left, and take it into the hamstring stretch, making all the adjustments. Your pelvis is on the floor, your hips are level, and then you can breathe into this side. Notice the difference. Again, if you got one side which is tighter than the other, I certainly do. And if that's the case, you might want to go back to the tighter side after you've done your looser side and just repeat it one more time, and then it will even things out a little bit. All right, okay, so bring strap around your head. You're going to pull it with your right arm this time. Externally rotate from the hip. Keep the foot flexed and take the left leg out. Still pressing your right foot against the wall to make sure that that right hip does not come off the floor. Okay, loosen it a little bit. There. And again, you're actively pulling with the right hand. Okay, come on up, swap hands with the strap, shuffle your hips to the left, let the little pinky side of your right foot come to the floor, and then you're taking the leg over to the right, still pushing into the wall with your right foot. Coming into that twist. Feeling that amazing stretch along your outer left leg this time. Okay, release. Get rid of the strap. Shift your body back to center. And then just take a moment. Stretch out your legs. Hopefully they feel the same length again. So it just shows how powerful that pose is. So, like I said earlier, if you've only got time for one, do this one and, try and hold each position for at least 10 breaths. All right, so last two poses. This next one, there's actually two parts to it. We're doing a supine pigeon, then we're going to move into a twist. So we're going to start with bent knees, feet flat on the floor, and then you're going to bend the right knee, take the right ankle on top of the left knee, flexing the foot to protect your knee. And then use your right hand to press the knee away. Again, this is all to make sure that your hips stay level. And it will also stop the stretch. So you may find you want to stay here. Absolutely fine. You're going to feel it in the outer right hip. If you want more, pick up the left foot. Keep pressing the knee away and hug behind the thigh or the top of the shin. Ooh. And then breathe, stay here with that push-pull action. Keep it going. Try and keep your pelvis flat on the floor. So no little tucks with the pelvis, no reverse curls with this one. And again, you can move around with this. You can shift it from side to side. Breathe into that right hip. Great release for the hips, this one. And then from here you can move into a twist, which is going to again target the IT band area. So you're just going to drop the left foot, keep the shape, and drop the knees over to the right. Bringing your arms out at shoulder height, palms up or down. It's up to you. So the weight of the right foot is going to stretch the outer hip of your left leg. And to make it even more intense and stretch the whole of that side line, you can bring the left arm up, reach the fingers away from your tailbone. So your tailbone, send it down towards your left heel. Reach the fingers away and, oh boy, you should feel really good. Like you're getting some real length and space all the way up your side body. And again, you can just play around where you put that arm. Really breathe here. And what I like about these two movements, again, they highlight, because you're doing both sides, you can really get to know which side is tighter or more restrictive in movement. And because it tells you, you can start to change. You can start to change it. So let's try the other side. So let's come into supine pigeon first of all. And again, set it up first. Don't be in a rush to get into the finished position because preparation is the key. Listen to your body. See where it wants you to go. And you may find it's different on different days depending on what you've been up to. Okay, let's try twist on this side, bring the right foot down, take the arms out, shoulder blades stay on the floor, and you simply drop in the knees over to the left this time. Stay here for a few breaths before you start moving. Just see how it feels on this side, and then if you want to, you can bring or slide that right arm up. Get that expansion through the side body going. And you know, I feel it here. I'm tighter on my right side, so I'm really going to breathe as smoothly as I can. Use my breath to try and get some space, especially where I feel tension. I want to try and get my breath in there to move that area so I get a little bit of space and release. I could stay here a lot longer, but we're coming out in 2 breaths. Okay, come on up. Okay, we're on number 10. So this is legs up the wall pose. Vaparita Karani, my absolute favourite. So for this you do need a wall space. And I'm just going to shift my mat slightly over a little, otherwise I'm probably going to knock a picture down. And for this one, a blanket can come in very, very useful to help release your lower back. So you can do it without, but I'm going to I'll show you the version with it, and then you can decide whether or not it's for you or not. So you need to fold it several times and then fold it again, making like a little sausage area, and bring it so it's close to the wall. And then from there, you're going to bring your bum by the wall, so you kind of slot between the blanket and the wall, and then you're going to swing your legs up. Press your heels in, bring the rolled up blanket so that it's snuggled under your lower back, so that when you relax your pelvis, your tailbone is moving slightly down towards the floor. Okay. Oh. And then all you need to do here is relax. It really is as easy as that. And the reason I love this pose is it reverses your circulation. So it's going to drain any fluid build-up. It's going to drain and help your lymph flow better, your blood flow better. It's just going to help relax and ease any tension away from the legs. And also it's giving the backs of your legs another little stretch, because we're in a forward fold, but we're lying down. And then from here, you can play around with the leg shape as well. So one that I like is to bring the soles of the feet together. So you're in this Supta Padagusthasana shape. That's going to give you a little bit of an extra stretch for the inner leg and the groin. And the front of the hip area. Another thing you can do is just open the legs really wide and get into the inner thighs. It's also going to stretch the pelvic floor area as well, and if you want a little pelvic floor work, you can slide the legs in and then let the legs come out again. Exhale, slide in, and inhale, come out. And then when you finish playing, there's nothing better than to just come to a stillness and just enjoy this mild inversion, which is so calming, so relaxing. And you want to be here for at least 2 minutes. 5 minutes is great. 10 minutes even better. 20 minutes. Oh wow, amazing. You know, just do as much as you can without any judgment. You know, sometimes I lie here and I just listen to a podcast just to while away the time. You can listen to some music or you can just watch the breath. So we're going to take 5 more here. Obviously, if you've got more time to play with this one, then, you know, I do invite you just to hang around here for a bit longer. You can just press pause and enjoy. Right, and then from here, to come out is simply a question of bending the knees and rolling over to one side. Don't come up straight away, just take a couple of breaths here before you move, because you have been upside down. And obviously the longer you're up there, the more, you know, the deeper the effects are going to be. And then when you feel like you're the right way up and everything is how it should be, then come on up. All right, so after you've done whatever poses you want to do after your run, obviously I would encourage you to take a Shavasana, but the purpose of this video, it was simply, you know, more of a tutorial to take you through the different poses and show you what you can do with them to get the most out of them. We're gonna miss it for today, but if you fancy taking a Shavasana after the video, then, you know, please do. So I really hope you enjoyed this video and got a lot out of it. Do take time to read the blog post, which this video is made for, as well. And if you want to watch a flow which incorporates these poses into more of a class experience, then I've made a video which does that for you as well. So, you know, do check that out if you want to. Other than that, hit like, hit subscribe, and I will look forward to seeing you on the mat very soon.